yet people have kind of gone there for whatever reason. But yeah, it's. Are you guys doing a lot of dries? I mean, is that something that you're finding a want for, or is it more of a just an occasional thing?
Still, it's pretty occasional. I've tried to make products that kind of span the whole market because I don't really want to leave anybody necessarily out. You don't get to make every product and every sweetness level. So it's kind of finding out which one balances well for what it is. Like we have a draft mead that's dry hopped, and it's our driest draft one. It's 2 bricks. It's a little less than 1.5 bricks. So it's like 1006. And that's drier than most beers out there. And people say, that's still too sweet for me. And I'm like, man, if you really could look at this is like the less residual sugar than a lot of beers out there. And you used to get the pushback on people. Like you said earlier on, people have the context of having anything with honey, it's going to be too sweet. So you're going to have the haters, really. And I've kind of got over that aspect. It's not going to be something for everybody as much as I really want to. And that's how much we're pushing for it. We're going to get it in everybody's hands. But making it, and certain ones just work better, sweeter or drier than the mid-range. And it's partially by just recipe formulation. If you get those other things in there, like the hops, for instance, add some structure to it and the bottom line, so it doesn't seem very thin. The carbonation helps out a lot with a lot of the drier things because the effervescence kind of gives some carbonic acid acidity to it. Mm-hmm. And it's different than having tartaric acid. So when you put those additive acids in there, tartaric acid hits me on the tip of my tongue, and you can tell it can be clenching, but as I drink it, carbonic acid's like when you drink a soda fast, it kind of burns the back of your throat. So it's not really up front. It just hits you in different places. So you almost kind of need both parts to make an experience as you're drinking. It's short that people like, oh, it's a very interesting taste spectacle as it goes through your mouth, but when it hits your throat, it's just like, boom, now I want more. It's just gone. It doesn't linger for a long time. It's not overly sweet. It doesn't hang around. There's other times when you want that. And so it just kind of depends on the mood and what certain people are looking for when they come. Like we were talking earlier about what the spread of what it is to be a honey fermented beverage or mead, and it can be, a Dwozniak, I'm say that right, like the 1-to-1 honey Polish wedding style mead, and then you can have the super bone dry carbonated 5% mead. It's still the same animal. We're in the same category, but it's like two wide ends of the spectrum as far as like what people are looking for. It's just everything can have a balance in that sense. The fruitiness a whole lot of times. If you have a really high alcohol and it's dry, over time, like fusel alcohols are kind of those are really hard to break down. Apparently, I've had some ones that just you couldn't get past the nose. It was you like, open it up, it's like, wow, that straight smells like jet fuel, and that's from too high fermentation temperatures. You taste it, you're like, okay, this actually doesn't taste really alcoholic, and it tastes all right, but over time, the alcohols, the lower level alcohols will go through an esterification process, and it will actually make it seem sweeter, which actually, dry traditionals will actually bring the honey character back out, because there's a perceived sweetness from the conversion of the alcohol that brings that honey character out. Like if you ferment strawberries, for instance, and strawberries have a very unique taste, and you make a dry strawberry mead with it, a lot of times those flavor profiles, you may get the aroma of 4 pounds of strawberries per gallon, just really big aroma. You're like, that smells great. You taste it like, wow, there's so much acid in there, it doesn't even taste like that. You put a little sugar in it, it's like, oh, now it tastes like strawberries. And the same thing kind of happens with honey, is that once all of the sugar base, and that's partially our perception of what the raw honey tastes like, once it's all gone from fermentation, you're only left with that flavor profile that's left. And in dry ones, you're like, wow, that's the predominance of what's left. Like, the basswood with the lime character. When it's sweet, tastes pretty interesting, very lime-like, not too phenolic. You get it dry, you're like, wow, that is almost Band-Aid-like, just really Belgian-y, just really phenolic kind of character. And it's sweetened back up. He's like, oh, there's the lime. That's great. And so
I found the same thing using chocolate, actually.
We'll do that.
I found the same thing using chocolate. It needed just a little hint of sweetness. It didn't need much, but it needed some.
It needs that support.
Yeah, and when I do
otherwise
dry
all you
ones,
get is the bitterness from it.
For chocolate, absolutely. Even on dry meads, like bone dry 996 on the hydrometer, that's almost not really. I'm usually 0.002 to 6, and probably but not below 1.000 on the specific gravity meter. Just below that, it's just kind of almost. Easy to overdo it too.
Yeah.
We're just like, what is it?
It's definitely easiest to measure. At least you can. Take is something I can actually swallow to something that's soon going to taste as good as it smells. But yeah, 10 years for enough tannins to drop out.
Wow.
Oh yes, and this was made in 2004 when I started making 2004. I had no idea how tannic these little buggers were. Now I know.
Right.
But again, this is why I'm a bad example.
Right?
I make all the mistakes. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about this one is that I'm learning that tannins do actually drop out eventually. It just takes a really, really long time.
Yeah, it could take forever.
It really does.
And I made a chateau plywood once. I made a chateau plywood once, and after a year, it was way, way, way better. Yeah, I overdid it with the oak chips. Well, it's because I was messing with a wine kit. I wanted to make an ice style wine without having to pay for an ice style wine, so I just used strawberry Zinfandel blush that came with oak chips, and I only diluted it out to 3 gallons instead of 5 gallons. But I used the full amount of oak chips for the allotted time, and it came out way too oaky, But the nice thing was, after about a year, it was really, really nice.
Yeah, sometimes it's a year time frame. It's hard to do a year time frame commercially.
Yeah.
There's just so much money tied up.
Well, this is why you be a little bit more careful after you do your bench.
Right. You have to gradually go into these larger batches with a sensibility of like it's easy to add, not so easy to take away. So, a little bit of slowly encroaching forward on some things you can just go right away. Like once I've made a recipe a bunch of times, even on a larger scale, it's a whole lot more, it's less intimidating the next time you do it. But the first time you're doing it, you're like, what am I doing? All right, here we go. This is going to be a good recipe. So that's pretty fun in that aspect.
It is, yeah.
Totally.
Well, we need to start winding things up. We could probably go on for hours, but
indeed.
This has been fun. I think that we covered some ground on Bochets, and certainly we learned a lot about you guys. So that's pretty cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I enjoyed being here.
We still need to talk about the Texas Mead Cup.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for reminding me, David. Yes, please do. Tell us more about the Texas Mead Cup. I almost forgot, and that's really important that we cover that. Tell us about the Texas Mead Cup and what's coming up and what people need to be aware of.
The Texas Mead Cup is coming up every year for the Texas Mead Association. We have a mead festival in Texas. And Texas Mead Cup this is our 4th annual competition. Which is done as part of this event. So the entries are due September 1st at the drop-off locations in Texas, or you can ship the entries. We need to have the entries no later than the 4th if you're going to ship the entries to Meridian Hive. You can get the link to register and enter is at texasmeadcup.com. We have a pro competition this year for the professional meaderies, and that's the first time this year. So I'm not running that side. I run the amateur competition. So but all the information is right there on the website. We are one of the biggest mead competitions in the United States. So we get about 150 or so entries last year.
That's pretty good.
And it's a lot of people to have to, it's a lot of judging. So it feels good, though. Feels good. It's really interesting. I think, Eric, is there not a special category this year for the amateur?
Oh, yeah, we do. There's a special category this year. A bunch of folks got together and decided on the Mead Maker podcast that they were going to do a soda mead. So we added a category for them. So there's a special soda mead category this year. That's cool. That's taking the session mead to a new level.
Yeah, I see the mead makers are talking about that on their Twitter feed, the soda mead experiments. So I think maybe we need to do a show about the rise of the soda mead and what's going on with that. It's probably about time we got the boys on again. It's been a while. So all the judges are going to be doing rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to judge that category. Yeah, I know, right? That's what. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You'll have to tell us how that goes and what happens with that. I'll be really interested to see. I wish I could get down there, but I am Slam City between now and November because the grandbaby's coming. Yay! So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know, right? First grandbaby, and I'm going out to stay for like a month or so with my daughter and son-in-law to help them out. But yeah, between now and then, I've got to get all my ducks in a row and somehow get my technical stuff set up so that I could do the show on the road because I ain't hauling the dinosaur computer with me to Washington.
Wow.
Just not, Though if I have to, I'll toss in a box with the clothes I'm shipping out there and just, take it with me if I have to. But
Excellent.
Yeah, so, well, thanks, guys, for being on the show. It's been totally awesome. I really appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And apologies for the late getting the information to you. I really was ignoring my computer completely while I was on vacation for once in my life. So, I never do that. It was so nice.
Well, it all worked out. We got a lot of information out, which is good.
We did. This is good. Yeah, and I expect you guys will be coming back. I mentioned to Eric that we're doing during this time frame. AJ and I have been talking about doing a panel on session meads, and so we're going to get a bunch of mead makers to come in, and probably what we're going to do is develop a bunch of questions, do it kind of like a presidential debate, so Mike and Eric, what do you think about blah blah blah, here's your 2 minutes, kind of thing, and just kind of go down the line and get some input from a lot of different people who are doing session meads, and do some stuff with that.
Sounds great.
So, yeah, so it'll be
I think it's a really hot topic right now.
It is.
I've seen the growth in the Mazer Cup where there's a 350 cutoff, and the percentage of people entering the session mead category. I remember when there was 4. I think last year there was just shy of 40 or 50. I was somewhere in that range. It was the 30 or 40 range. I was like, wow, that's a pretty substantial percentage of change. And it's just grown year after year. Just in even the last 5 years at the Major Cup on the commercial side of things.